Voice Radio.
Believe it.
Hey, this is DJ Diamond D from the island of Barbados, and you're tuned to the sweet spot on internet radio, carrotvoiceradio.org. Don't move that dial.
Good evening, everyone. You are tuned into Carrot Voice Radio. This is a very brand new segment of Voice Your Opinion. We've been looking forward to this for a little while. I just had to get it right with the co-host. I think I found the perfect co-host. We'll be sharing lots of things this evening. I'm very comfortable with the co-host I've chosen. And I know we're going to get into some heated discussions this evening. I want you to stay tuned. Go get your glass of hot, cold, chilled, whatever it is, Bailey's, a Banks beer, a Coke, some white wine, some red wine, whatever you want. Go get your stuff. We've got 10 minutes. We're going to get started. And we're going to bring you an exciting show tonight on Voice Your Opinion. Stay tuned and keep us on the lock with carrotvoiceradio.org. Hi, good evening. We are on Voice Your Opinion for a Friday night, lovely Friday night here in Barbados. It's kind of warm, but the stars are all out. And we're good to go. My special co-host this evening is Miss Yvonne Randall from Chicago, Illinois. Welcome, Yvonne.
Good morning, good morning. It's morning somewhere, right?
It sure is.
And here in Chicago, it is the same, hot, humid. But that's okay, because we're inside now. We're going to enjoy the show.
That's right. What are we talking about tonight, Yvonne?
Well, you know, this is a very topic that's so dear to my heart. Leave the married men alone. Leave them alone. We don't want to have a relationship with a man that's not ours. We don't want to have a relationship with a man that belongs to someone else. Why should we do that, Yvette? Why should we even bother with dating and being involved with a married man?
The truth is, Yvonne, I see no benefit to that, but I'm going to share a lot of what I discussed with other women. I worked at one time in a department with 100 and something women, so you can imagine the views. Mm-hmm. I asked a friend of mine once why she would date a married man, because she was very open about it. She said, Yvette, when I'm done with him, he has to go home to his wife. I don't have to wash, cook, start, or iron for him.
Oh, my goodness. Serious?
No, that's one view. I really couldn't. She had me kind of dumbfounded for a little bit. But that was her view. She said, I don't want any responsibilities. I don't mind spending his money. I don't mind spending some time with him. But let him go home when he's ready to go. She said, no, he can't sleep at my house. And I won't sleep at his. But we can have some fun together.
Really?
Yes.
That is really sad. I'm just going to be honest with you and say how I really feel.
But that's what we're here for. Let me put my disclaimer right now, Yvonne. I'm Yvette, but I'm going to be frank. I'm going to be real frank. Oh, anybody who doesn't want us to be honest on the show tonight, who doesn't want us to voice our opinion, hey, you've got time, you can hop off. You can hop off. We'll excuse you and we'll say thank you for joining. But we're going to be very open here. We're going to be very frank. This, what will be between you and I, what we're saying, it might not reflect what Caribbean Voice Radio feels or Caribbean Media Zone or Padmore for that matter. But we're here to voice our opinion. Anybody who does not want to be on the show, you've got time to leave. Anybody who wants to stay, you've got 30 seconds to go get a glass of something to relax, because I'm sure that once you sit, you're not going to be able to move again.
That's right. But the good part about it is we want you to listen in, but we want you to call in. We want to hear what you have to say, because we want you to voice your opinion also. You have an opinion, you want to be heard, but we're just going to tell it like it is, just like Yvette said.
I agree with that. And you know why You know why I'm so excited about this topic, Yvonne? Because I'm aware of a situation that is still very, very fresh in my mind. I have a very good friend. She met this guy about 6 months ago. They have not met in person, but he's overseas. He's a Barbadian, but he works overseas and she's living here.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking for about 6 months. You know how it is. They talk all night. She would go to bed 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Then she's looking for toothpicks to keep her eyes open because she's been up all and still has to go to work. And all this talk, and they're sharing all this information. And he got to find out that she's looking for a house to buy and stuff. He said to her, well, send me a photo of the house and let me see what it's like. She sent him the photo. He said, oh, this is nice. I'm going to call the realtor tomorrow. And they got into really heavy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No, she said, one of the first questions she asked him was if he was married. He said, no, I'm not married. I was married twice.
Mm-hmm.
They got on to talking, all this talk. He promised he was going to come here and see her, but then he said that people were off from work. He couldn't come, that sort of thing. He said he has 2 children. He's going to take his children to Disney for the summer, which is last week for the summer, and was wondering if she would join them. She said, well, no, I have 2 children, and if I'm going to Disney, you will have to invite myself and my children too.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, that was the end of that. She said, she called me on Wednesday. She said to me, I have something to say to you. I said, what is it? She said, I just missed a call from, this man is between Florida and some other state. She said, I just missed a call from a Florida number. And I called it back when I stopped because I couldn't answer the phone while I was driving. She said, I called back the number thinking it was him. And this woman answered the phone, and she said, she said, hello, my name is Marcy. I just missed the call from this number. And this was the response on the other end. Oh, I just wanted to put a name to the number in my husband's phone. And she said, excuse me? She said she was shocked. She said, excuse me? And the woman said, yes, I see this number in my husband's phone many times, and I'm calling to put a name to this number. And then she said her only response was, okay. And the wife, and this woman turned and said, well, I am his wife. She said, okay. And she hung up.
Uh-oh.
No, she said she was so flabbergasted. She had to count to 10. And then she sent him a text. Why is your wife calling me? Why is your wife, And she said 24 hours went by and he didn't respond, which isn't like him. So she's there thinking to herself, but he's trying to come up with a lie now. Mm-hmm. Then, after he probably caught himself, he sent her a text. My wife, ? Calling you, and a lot of question marks after that.
Uh-oh.
But that she just stuck her teeth and she said, you know what, let me let that go, let me leave that alone. She said a few days later, this woman calls her back and says, I'm still seeing your number in my husband's phone. So she said, you know what, let me deal with this situation right now. She sent him a text and said, since you don't have the balls or enough balls to confront this situation, let me make it clear to you. Please ask your wife not to contact me again. She said, obviously you're not a man, but you need to do a manly thing. She said that's what she said in the text. So obviously that got him going. So he responded, I'm sorry for any problems I may have caused you. And he's apologizing. I really have no excuse. That was the end of what he said. So she said her response was, you need prayer. I'm going to pray for you and her. So he said, yes, I need prayer. It's not what you think it is. What else could it be? You're married.
What else could it be?
What else could it be? Number one, he lied to her. And you know what is annoying? I think that it would have been easier if he had given her the option if he had said to her, listen, I am married. Whether things are going good or not, I am married. You decide if you want to be with me. If you don't, I'll understand. Let me move on to somebody else. If you do, please understand that I'm married. Don't get in the way. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Absolutely.
The first thing he's going to do is lie. So how are you going to base that relationship off of a lie? First thing.
Exactly. So it started off with a lie, right? So it's going to continue as a lie if she allows it, right?
Yes.
So what is she doing to herself if she allows that?
All she's doing is looking for a letdown when she comes, if she allows that. A big letdown. Because guess what? They will probably have a big argument about that, especially since the wife fought her, etc. Maybe they will or maybe they won't, but depending on the relationship, they might just make it up.
What about the kids?
Exactly. And where will she be? She'd be out in the cold, won't she?
And then this other lady who was dating him, did you think she did any kind of background check to find out if he was married or just accepted his word?
I think that's sad. I think that she trusted him to be honest with her. And Yvonne, I'm going to be real frank. I'm not even at all tonight. I'm going to be frank. I think a lot of times we tend to take people at their word, which is so wrong. There are men who will say to you, "I am single." Oh, you're glad to hear that. How many women will meet a man and say, "I'm single," if they're not?
Right.
How many women? But the man will say, "I am single," and guess what? He's saying, "I'm single" because he's looking.
Exactly.
He's looking, so he's going to say, "I'm single."
So you're either
behind him.
Right. It's either one or the other. You're either married or you're not. Right?
Exactly.
So regardless if you're with your wife or husband, separated, estranged, you're still married.
Exactly.
Period. So why in the world would you want another woman's husband? What for? Money?
I can't see the possible reasoning behind it other than to hold some stress later.
And that's it?
That's the only reason. Because however you look at it, there will be some time when you want to be with him, when you want to hear from him, when you want to see him, that you will not be able to, and you will get very angry.
And how many men actually do leave their wives?
You know how many? Not many.
So, again, the woman who is the homewrecker, I'll call her, what does she have coming to her?
Absolutely nothing.
So you've wrecked the home already of the family. The children are involved. Now the wife is not going to trust the husband anymore, right?
Wait, you shouldn't anyhow.
So she is one. You think he ever?
I missed something you said just now.
I love my husband. Mm-hmm. That's what the wife might say when she finds out, right?
Yeah.
And then she says, we've got this family together. We've got this history together. He won't do it again. He promised me he never would. And do you think that he won't? Or do you think that, of course, he got the taste of it, now he's going back out?
I believe that 9 of 10 times he will say in his mind, well, if she doesn't see me, another woman will. And he will try until he finds somebody who's satisfied with most of that relationship.
Okay. So now, is the problem with the husband who's cheating or the woman who thinks she stole the husband from the wife? And get this, for a romp in the hay of about 3 good minutes?
3 minutes. This is how I categorize. You know what I always say, Yvonne? I'm saying some of them that looking for 3 and 4 women, they don't even last as long as a match when you light it. Because when you light a match, you're looking to throw out your hand real fast before it burns your finger. If you know you are at that stage where you even bothering, but you have stayed with the one who will appreciate you and forget it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
How long does a match stay after you light it? 30 seconds, not even so much. You looking to do frustrate somebody? Okay,
so now let's take our audience through this affair. So you met this man who lied to you, told you he was not married, but guess what? He only sees you certain times in certain places, right?
Yeah.
You can't hang out together publicly because what? Someone might see you. And does he wear a ring? Let's look at that. Does it matter anymore? Do you really even know? What does the wedding band mean anymore?
To a lot of people, it doesn't mean anything because this same lady that I started out talking about that said she prefers married men, she said to me it really didn't matter if he wore his ring or not. Mm-hmm. She wasn't interested in that.
And to some women, that's a magnet. Oh, he has a ring. He's married. Just you said earlier. All I need him to do for me is take me out to dinner, movie, hotel, show, whenever I feel like it. But like you said, there's going to come a time when she can't do that.
That's right.
The wife is going to say, "Oh no, we have things to do tonight. Where are you going?"
And trust me, he will know the nights that he can't go out. You know. He will know the nights that he can't risk to say, "I am going anywhere."
So let me ask you, this friend, well, maybe not a friend, but associate of yours, what was your advice to her?
Me, I don't give advice. I don't know. I think differently. I don't give anybody an ultimatum. I take them myself.
Mm-hmm.
I would have gone, I would not even have bothered with a situation like that because a lot of red flags would have gone up in my head.
What do you think is a red flag? Let's tell our audience what some red flags are.
When she described this man to me and how he was so smooth talking and he's a nice looking man and dressed so well, how come he's in overseas, another state, wherever, and he can't find a woman? What's wrong? You know what I'm saying? If I'm going to tell you, Yvonne, oh, he's smooth talking, he's nice looking, he dressed well all the time, and he's always talking about nice colognes and stuff. Something has to be. What happened that he doesn't have a woman? Apart from the fact that he might be gay. That's another red flag, is it not?
Or, as they say these days, on the down low.
Same thing.
Right, so he's doing all kinds of things that's going to get him in trouble.
Or may not, because he might keep it a secret.
And you know, secrets, what's done in the dark, it comes to the light.
That's right.
Okay. Here's my problem with women who seek after married men, or even women who know that the man is married and feel like it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of relationship does she have with herself?
But maybe she doesn't have one with herself, so she's trying to find one with somebody else.
Okay, that could be one problem, right?
But like I say all the time, I tell people all the time, and it's not to be conceited. But I got to be frank. I love me real bad, and for me to put myself through that, I just cannot imagine putting myself in a situation where I want to go out X time, but I got to dance around some compromise, or I got to hear some stupid story about, oh, you know, I can't go out tonight, or not tonight, baby. Today's my wife's birthday. Christmas Day, I gotta spend it. My family. Valentine's Day, no, that got to be my wife. So listen, let me take you out the day before Valentine's or the day after. Hell no. Then you have to be compromising. Why are you laughing? When you have to be compromising so much, is it even worth it?
No. And that's my whole point. What could she think about herself personally where she has to have a married man? What type of esteem does that, how does that even mix with a lifestyle? Because I'm just going to assume, I'm going to put it out there. If she has dated one married man, she has dated how many more? And it's got to be a really empty lifestyle when you do that, because you're still alone. Who do you come home to at night?
you call bed. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing how men think. A man said to me once, he said to me, you know what, you can give me a key to your house. I said, oh, by the way, he's married. I said, so why would I do that? He said, when I sleep, and now it wouldn't disturb you. I said, but where would you be coming? He said, to your house. I said, for what? I said, I've already got a gardener. Why would you be coming? I said, if you're a gardener, you don't need a key to my house. You work on the outside. But he said, oh, you know, nobody has to know. You can give me a key and I can slip in and oh, what are you?
Wow. Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay, let me do this. Is it the married man's fault or is it the woman who goes after the married man? What do you think?
I think they would both have to share the blame. If a woman is lied to, if she has checked all over and could not find anything to say to her, hey, this man is involved with another woman, married or whatever, and she gets into a relationship with him, I can't honestly blame her.
Because she's already done her checking. She doesn't know.
She doesn't find anything. So she
going
goes
on
ahead.
hit the word.
That's right.
Okay, so then when it becomes her fault is when red flags start popping up and she starts to ignore them.
Or if she knows him, she still pursues him.
Yes. Then that makes it okay. So my earlier question is about affecting the kids. So now you've torn a family apart, right? And what are these kids going to do when they don't have their mom or dad in their home? How does that affect society? How is it going to affect those children's lives? This is not just something that is worth the 3 seconds. This is long-term effects.
Oh, you bringing down your time now.
3 seconds, not even 3 minutes. Trust me, I know of some. 3 seconds.
You on your bed?
We said the name of this radio program is Voice Your Opinion.
That's right.
So these home wreckers, that's what I call them. And the long-term effects. So, I mean, we're joking and, you know, having a good time, but in reality, it's got some long-term effects.
It does. When you think of especially children who know the difference, who understand, we're not talking about babies here, 1 and 2-year-olds who will not be able to grasp the full impact of what's going on because they're too young. We're talking about impressionable children who will know, hey, things are not going right in the house, daddy's not coming home, or when he comes home, everybody's asleep and he's gone again before we wake up, that sort of thing. They have got to see, they have got to know, and children are not stupid.
And they can tell, I believe,
that
wrong with mommy and daddy. Right? So now, what is that modeling in front of those children?
The first thing that these children will feel, depending on the child, some children will feel that they're to blame.
Right. See? That's a very, very valid point, Yvette.
Some children will feel they're to blame. Others will wonder where it all went wrong. And then they will go back to wondering what happened when we used to go on picnics on a Sunday together. That stopped. Then they will start trying to put the pieces together, hoping for their own sake that things get patched up when it's going north and south.
And you know, that stays with a child. It doesn't just disappear out of their lives because they grow older and have their own lives. It really affects them. That's so right. Now, say they're at the marrying stage. Do you believe that, let's just say a female child, she saw this, right? So do you believe that she's going to trust men?
It will be very, very difficult for her to trust to try, especially if she sees that her mother was doing it all or trying her best, and if she believes that her father was the wrong one. Let's cut in here. We have Nisa joining us this evening. Good evening, Nisa. How are you?
Hi, Nisa.
Yvette, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, just loving the show.
Good. Well, Nisa, I'm sure you've been on. You've been hearing what's going on. We can get your take on it. You've always got something to add, so put your 10 cents worth.
You guys are heating up the station, man. This is you've got pox on hold, you've got, doors locked, you've got husbands calling, can't get your wives to answer the phone. What, man, it's just hot. The ladies are doing it, man. I pretty much have been logged on for probably like about 5-10 minutes or so. Very interesting. Annoying me, I'm actually going to come and put some spice to it now. And pretty much add finish up the pot. Because the pot is steaming and bubbling. So I got some ingredients to put in there now and put it on this. Get this stew happening.
Right.
I really do. I do kung. I must admit, I really do kung with the pot. That I've heard. My thing on it is that I normally like to attack things from more than one angle. I strongly identify with the home wreckers, as I think Yvonne would have rightfully said. My only thing is that I think we pretty much need to get deep, and we need to now get to the root of the problem, and we need to identify what's really happening in the households. And when we're actually going to start to put blame, we need to pretty much gather some more information and talk about other information that persons can relate to. For instance, I believe that there are women out there that fall in different categories. They have women that they are pretty much inclined and intrigued with married men for one particular reason, because they're not really ready to settle down. However, he did settle down, and that was his choice. But they're at the point in their lives where they just want some form of companionship at selective times. So the married man actually fits into that kind of part, that kind of stage that they're at in their lives. We go through different stages, women and men. We go through midlife crisis as well. Both women and men, we fall into that category. But it is not right to damage the home. It is not right for you to step out and dismiss your vows, and obviously obviously then turn your back on them, because vows are very, very sacred. But in the other breath, I will tell you that there are different reasons that different things happen. And putting everybody in a corner where we say, okay, you did that, that's the reason, you're wrong, sometimes doesn't always cut it. There are always other reasons. Sometimes there are underlying things that happen that in retrospect really cause the breakdown of the home. I personally don't believe, I know we have women and we do have men as well, that they're naturally perverse, they're naturally out there on the market, they just can't seem to get over it, they're always still on the hunt, they're just like wild animals. We do have those type of persons around. We have those personalities, but in the next breath, I'm serious, in the next breath we have persons that, in truth and in fact, you marry one thing, you marry one person, but 5 years down the road, that person turns into somebody else.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But Nisa, I agree with you. That's why I was sharing with Yvonne earlier that I don't give anybody an ultimatum. I take them myself.
That's the point.
Yeah, if I find it's getting to that, I said, why am I going to keep badgering you and listen, you need to change? I'm not telling anybody you need to change. I need to move on, so I'm changing.
That's right.
I find that a lot of times, a lot of things happen that we really should take note of, we should avoid. There are a lot of reasons why women stay too, especially in marriages that are abusive verbally, physically, mentally, whatever. Some women feel that it will take them out of their comfort zone if they have to move on. They won't be able to afford certain things anymore. Some women feel that it's nice to be called Mrs. even if you're not Mrs. in the true sense of the word. So if you're not with a man anymore or you're divorced, you can't be Mrs. anymore. So hey, that's a stain on you. It's some women feel again that
But what does it really say about you then? What does it say about you as an individual? What does it say about you and about your confidence? What does it say about you and your self-esteem?
No confidence. That's why it goes back down to. That's why it goes back down to what I was saying earlier. I don't give anybody ultimatums. I take them. I wake up one morning and realize I'm working. I say, listen, and I think it's just a matter of respect. I really don't see it working. Have you got anything to say? If depending on what you say, I decide. I don't say, hey, you better shape up or listen, this thing ain't working. You better. I'm busy with no. You better nothing. If it's time to go, let me go. Don't even try to hold me back. But I put say for a lot of stupid reasons. The only reason I could understand to some extent is for the children. But guess what? Those same children need to wake up. Even they wake up and leave you one morning and leave you flying. They go and have their own life. And guess what? You stand for the children that are not there anymore.
What are you teaching your children? When you stay in essence,
all you were doing, you were afraid to leave, using the children as an excuse. The children are living their own lives, but you still there hanging on for what?
But you stay in a marriage. You hear it constantly. We are in it for the children. But my question is, and it always remained at the end of the day, what values are you then instilling in your children? When they grow up, they will stay in relationships, whether they're happy or not, because mommy and daddy did it. It makes sense. I'm serious. The children, you need to sit your children down. And I'm very strong about this point. I never believe I have godchildren. I have no children of my own, but I am surrounded by children. From the time I lift a baby in arms, I am speaking to them. Hi, how are you? You're beautiful. You know, I am not, ooh, goo goo gaga. I am never with baby talk. I'm always speaking to them.
True. What are we showing these children? What are we showing them?
But that's the point. What are we then showing them? Children are sponges. They just keep everything and they just suck up all the information around them, and they're so observant. They're just like little satellites. They're just running around and they're just, tapping into everything, and they're just retaining everything. It's amazing. It's amazing. They're just little projects. I call them little projects. They're just hovering all over the place. And they're children, but at the end of the day, you need to sit your children down in the company of both parents, and you sit down and you explain to them what's happening. Mommy and daddy, we're not happy. It is not working. I'm sure you can feel the tension. I'm sure you can see that something is wrong, and we need to get you out of this situation. I know there will be a split where obviously they will live with mommy or daddy, and you make an informed, mature decision. Whether you're hurt or not, you take the children into consideration, and you make decisions for the children, in the best interest of the children, but not sacrificing yourself.
In the best interest of the children.
You don't sacrifice your happiness for children. I do not believe in that. Because children grow up and they move away. They move on. They do not stay and say, it's not a case of being ungrateful, but they now have their own identities. They've now found themselves or are about to find themselves. So at the end of the day, they moved away from wanting to be under the hub of mommy and daddy and under the umbrella of mommy and daddy, and they want to branch off on their own. Once upon when the child was 6 years old, you drop them to school, you gotta kiss them, you gotta wipe their face, do you have your lunch money? You got a lunch box, and you're packing down, you're taking the face, and you're taking the saliva, and you're putting back the eyebrows, and you're making sure they're clean and spotless. And they will stand up and let you do it. That's right. School and try to do that. Mommy, stop it. Daddy, stop it. Why are you doing that? Don't do that. It annoys them, and then because you know what, they're no longer at that age. They're not that impressionable anymore.
I agree with you. I remember hugging my son when he was about 14. I think maybe he was at school. I hugged him in public somewhere. He said, "Mom, we can't wait till we get home." I said, "No." I said, "Why would you want me to wait till you get home to hug you?" I said to him, "If I gotta hug you only when I'm at home, don't look up for another hug."
But ladies, ladies, let me interject here. Son, I used to think that I could be mommy and daddy, and that was totally wrong, but I understand until later. So when I away from the hugs and kisses and saying, Mom, I say to him all the time, I love you. A different take on life opposed to what he grew up in. So I wanted to stop that generational curse. And I did not want him to turn around and raise his family the way that he saw. But what happened? Just like Nisa said, it's that perpetual cycle. He turned around, right? And he took in what he saw growing up. So this has to stop somewhere. And the way it has to stop, I believe, is to have women get to know who they are first, so they won't just accept any old piece of stale bread. It sells to say, okay, I'm out, I'm in this bed, I'm going to get married. Seriously. What about the spiritual aspect behind all of this?
I am missing Yvonne's voice. Yvonne?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, I missed the last part of what you were saying.
You're going in and out, actually.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what's happening for me, too.
I think it's getting a little hot. Don't mind. We'll persevere.
So, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So, I think where it can start with is the women who go after these married men. They need to sit down and try to figure out who they are and why they feel that they need to have somebody else's husband. And then they need to be held accountable for their actions.
Because there's no cooking and cleaning. There's no washing.
That's right. There's nothing to do. Collect some money and some get that. And then
right. But you. But me. When he's sick, you're going to run to the hospital with it, not me. When the clothes he's washing, you are supposed to wash them, not me. You got to cook it, not me. You don't understand? And let's be real. I've heard people speak. I do not believe in obviously having relations with married people. I do not support it whatsoever. But I've listened to stories and I've had conversations and I've heard stuff. And that's their take on it. You're married, you got the ring, you do the duties, so you be the maid, and I will be on the side and just accept what he has to offer.
That's right.
Sorry to say.
But you know,
that's the as the right to tell you, that's the truth about it. Sorry to say, that's the ugly truth, but it is the truth.
Yes.
But I sometimes
can we talk about the spiritual aspect behind this?
Sure, go ahead.
So the spirituality behind this, I think it's an oxymoron in that if a woman goes after a man who's married, number one, I keep saying this is voice your opinion. Number one, she has no morals and she has no values. And I would really like to hear a woman call in or even go on our site and even chat with us if she doesn't want to call in and tell us what it is she's getting from having this relationship with a married man and how wonderful it is. I want someone to come on and tell us that as to why she keeps doing it. But no, there are no morals and there are no values when a woman goes and tries to take take another woman's husband. So if she has no morals and she has no values about herself, which is really sad, say she has kids. What is she teaching her kids?
That God said it was the same thing she's doing.
Right. And how do you think God views that? Let's just take it spiritually here. God said one man to one woman. He didn't say for us to go out and pick a man that's married. He said to drink from your own well. That's what he said. So if you don't drink from your own well, you get this soul tie with someone who's not even your husband. You don't know what this man could be giving you. Mm-hmm. And even those 3 seconds or 3 minutes, whichever way you want to put it, it's still not worth it. Because you can have a lifetime, you're going to have a lifetime of sorrow, and then a lifetime of STDs. Okay, now she's pregnant. How does God see that? So if you don't have any morals and you don't have any values, what direction is your life going in? You have to be really sad, and you have to be really desperate, is what I'm going to say, to go after a man who's married. And then the Bible also says you reap what you sow. So if you're reaping what you sow, it's not going to be pretty, so you really need to stop. That's my high horse.
And you know too, ladies, I always wonder if these women put themselves in the position of the other woman, the woman who's being treated so badly. I wonder if they ever say, I would do it differently if I was her.
I don't think so.
They probably wouldn't. Most of the time, the women on the outside, it always goes back to my saying, and everybody always tells me, everything glitter isn't gold.
That's right.
When you're doing something on the side, there's an infatuation about it. There's an adrenaline rush. There's the idea of, like, oh, we're doing something so secretive. If we got caught, so there's just the hype attached to it. Mm-hmm. There's some people think it's some form of sexy when we're doing it that kind of way. We're just hiding around and everything is happening. Nobody knows. Mm-hmm. But if you check the statistics, 95% of the time, if the wife finds out and leaves the husband or threatens to leave the husband, he never directs his attention fully after that.
Woman, I agree with you. He looked for somebody completely new.
He would either dump you and then fight to hell for the wife again.
Yes.
If the wife is adamant she is leaving and she leaves, you are never the picture perfect side ride that he would have once had. You are now an abandoned old car that he will park outside and pray.
Look for a new ride.
And pray that at some point a highway come and blow you away to get you from around him. That way. So he gives you all the attention because he has the best of both worlds. He has the wife and he has you. When the wife put her foot down, and then she's one of these strong wives, and she say, hey, this is how some wives are. We have been together for 15 years. We have 4 kids. We have 5 beach houses. And we got a piece of land in Jacksonville. And everywhere. So you and decide what you all gonna do. But when you figure out what you're gonna do, at the end of the day, understand. So when the wife start put on her foot and start to call numbers and figures for the payout after the divorce, you will know where you're at. You will have no foot to stand on. And it usually happens that way. Very rare do a husband leave his wife and end up with his mistress. Very rare.
And then if he does end up with his mistress,
he's still lusting after the wife.
So if he ends up with that mistress, guess what? He's going to just turn around and do it again and find someone else.
Do the same thing to her. Of course, it will only be a matter of time.
Right, exactly.
But we need to understand our men. We need to understand our men and how they function. I think that is a core conversation y'all can have for another show. We need to understand our men. Men do not operate within normal range.
And I say that if God
operate on something different, they don't operate.
If God, right,
really
if He wanted us to think the same and be the same, He would create the 2 men and 2 women, perhaps.
Correct.
But apparently, He didn't design us that way.
That's the point. But I will say this, and I always say we should always keep our show balanced. We should never be one-sided, and we should always be open to other forms of conversation and other ideas as to why things happen. And I am very honest about this point. I'm very strong. It might offend some people, but it is in my opinion, and I believe that in some part of the show. It has something to do with your opinion, and this is just my opinion. We women,
and that's the name of the show, right? Voice your opinion.
We women, and I hope they hold this very dear to them, we women, some of us, seem to be at times so anxious to get a ring on our fingers that we become someone fake. So we portray to be what we think the man wants us to be. We put all the 5-inch and 10-inch and 12-inch hair on our heads. We put all the short skirts, man, and we dress to death because we do everything. We press the shirts for the morning. We make sure he goes to work. We call him at lunchtime. How are you doing, honey? Did you have anything to eat? How was your dish? You know, everything is perfect. And the man becomes comfortable. He falls in love with this person that he's seeing every day. And from the time he said, I do, 48 hours later, a long dress is on, some pants on her foot, big frame glasses on the right, you wiggle,
rolling in the hair all day.
You only gave 48 hours. You only gave 48.
I'm telling you, sometimes it takes less than that. The man just said I do to this beautiful, stunning woman that has a lot of character and charisma, and she just takes his breath away the way he does things, and you know she's very graceful and elegant. And from the time the man says he do and I do, something goes downhill, and he comes home at night, and you got on 10 pieces of material to go 10 curlers in your head, your back turn, and you go to sleep. Days of our life on, you're watching Days of Our Life. Don't talk to me, I watching my soap operas, no food and cook. Nothing ain't happening in the house in a minute. You walk for the toys, the children toys for the grown, towels, ass, everything in a mess. The more for house. Are you being honest? Like when we have conversations that we can have it and rate evenly across the board.
Yeah.
Men,
Nisha.
I'm so serious. Who they fall in love with sometimes turn out to be fake, and we as women need to stop that. If you know you like 10 pieces of clothes to sleep at night and 8 curlers in your head, and that is all you know, let the man know this is what you will get for the rest of your life.
And guess what happens?
But Nisha, I'll be honest with you though. I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I am still looking at it from another side. If you know you are married as a man, if you know you are married to supposedly this sort of woman, same woman that you portrayed, and you realize all of a sudden, instead of she sleeping naked, she got to put on 10 dresses. Tap her one and say, listen, sweetheart, before we got married, you used to be naked. What happened? You can't be on that time with your mom for 30 days, 31 days, time wrong with you.
Or 25 days.
So tap her real nice and say, sweetheart, we used to be sleeping naked. What's wrong now? Give her a chance to say her piece. At least you would have been comfortable in your mind that you gave her the opportunity to voice her opinion.
That's right.
That's why she's now covering up in 12 pieces of clothes instead of sleeping naked next to you.
But some men do though, you know, even. Some men do. Some men do bring the wife, draw it to the wife's attention in a different form or fashion. They make a little statement to her, you know, well, oh Lord, hon, every night, buddy, I don't know, and accustomed to this, they might draw little things to your attention, but some of people mean. Something real hard. Head when you're ready and very stubborn. You're very stubborn. Women are like mules. Very stubborn. Right. We believe in what we believe in. And we stand our ground if that's the case. But at some cases, we would like the man, obviously, to change. But if he accustomed to sleeping naked, and all of a sudden, if I tell you, Mark, he got on 2 boxer shorts and 5 vests, he cheating.
I didn't want you to touch it at night, neither.
He cheating. Well, then you do it. But I know all the time, so every night I can't look down, think, man, you're shoving it back there up on the night. Ain't nothing more happening. Once upon a time, it was action, going and coming.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you don't be careful when you drive in your car, the moment hit, you pull off one side.
Well, that sounds like more than 3 seconds and 3 minutes.
Right, and get things in order before you get home. I mean, it is steamy and hot and vibrant. You can't wait for nothing. But for the time you say I do, man, it's like 2 strangers, like just 2 roommates. All I'm interested in is, do you have the money for the light bill?
Yeah.
Don't you see the water month? Are you handling the groceries this month, or am I? That is all that going on in the house now. Bill talk and talk. Get the pampers. Bring the milk. Get down. Get you water. Scrub the bathroom. Go for a Rona. It get terrible. It's different now, but before it was hot and steamy. We as a people, and I tell people, we say I do too loosely. These vows, sacred vows, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. It's a serious case of vows, and we take them too lightly. We do not understand those vows. Those vows are sacred vows. You are vowing as a woman, if you're getting married as a young bride, as a young groom, you are vowing in the early aspects of your life to take this person that you're looking at for the rest of their lives. You're looking at them in their full bloom, and you plan to be with them until the wrinkles start to come, the teeth start to fall out, and all of y'all gonna get hit with play.
And that is the plan. But unfortunately, things happen in between.
But Nisa, excuse me 1 second. I am going to say this, and then Arby has a comment from a listener. But I want to say that I think that a lot of people, not only men and women, don't even think down the road. Yes, you would have married somebody beautiful, somebody who didn't have wrinkles, somebody who was, I don't know, pretty inside out, good looking, whatever you want to call it. If you're going to be with that person long term, you have to expect that they will get wrinkles. Everything will change about them. The breasts won't be firm anymore. They might be like 2 stockings down by your waist, but hey, you married her. You know what I'm saying? And you expect changes, and you have to be able to help each other with the changes that both of you are going through, instead of saying, when I married you had firm breasts, you don't have firm breasts anymore, let me go find somebody who has firm breasts. You have to be able to understand that if you're saying I do, and you're saying it for the long haul, you have to be able to compromise, you have to be able to roll with the punches, you have to understand a lot of things will happen that will not be perfect, but if you're really in it to stay, you will work it through, both of you.
That's the point. But the vows are serious event. I don't believe a lot we really understand these vows. I know we as humans, we have rights, and I believe that if you meet someone, you should be able to marry them. But I am strongly of the opinion I would like to see some form. It will not have to be legislation. I believe something I would like to see in the future that make people have to go through. I don't know, the period of time is left for discussion, but I believe we should have something implemented that gives you some form of course, some form of something you have to do to understand the road that lies ahead. It is not an easy road, and it is a lot of glimmer and glamour right now in this life that I realize everybody seems to be hurry and hard up for a ring. I do not understand why. I believe from a spiritual point of it, if we're looking at it from that aspect, you really should not be living married life unmarried. I believe that's strongly. We have to be real, and we have to understand the society we are in. The society have changed. Morals and values have changed. Our tolerance levels have been lowered, because there are things that I see now in this life that we never at one point in time would have accepted, but we have to know human rights, and human rights now take us to another level. However, saying that, I know that the people, as soon as you believe you're in love, they're quick to get married. You see people together, we've been together for 6 months, then a year hit, and soon as the year hit, we're getting married. I'm not saying it takes that long to know someone, but when you are going to commit yourself, I believe you should have gone through a whole chain of things first before you decide to commit yourself. And that is a strong point.
Like you said, is sacred. So the premarital part of it, people don't even go to counseling anymore. What do we need counseling for? We've been living together for 6 months. We know each other. But that has nothing to do with what's happening in the ins and outs and every day of marriage, as you both have stated. Right, they don't understand that, or they just want to be, they like the idea of marriage and not what marriage actually is about.
If you check television, every ad is a long veil and a white gown and, tux for rent and this thing and whatever, and Vegas. Come to Vegas and, you walk into a chapel.
They have to drive-through weddings now there. The drive-through chapels you can get married at in Vegas.
Before you walk through, you hear they do. You can shout I do from the door, and your man can tell you, okay, cool, let's sign the certificate, give me a go on with your business. It's a serious thing. It's a serious thing. I do not think people understand the gravity of the situation, and this is what is creating problems. Young people as well are getting married, quick so there's a baby involved, and quick so they're divorced. I know of a situation, of a young lady. From the time I met this young lady, she always was saying, I must be married, and by a certain age I must be married. And you can bet your lucky charms, by that age she was married. And she had a child the next year. And the next year following that, the house that they built, she was divorced, she moved out, left the husband with the house, gone and shack up somewhere else. Because they do not think that people, and because I've seen so many situations, I can vouch for them. And I know full well it seems to be like how there's fashion. Leggings are in, tube tops are in, Remy hair is in, it's a fashion. Getting married is it.
Yeah.
It is now in. Are you ready to get married? Yes, because it's in. It's a thing. So it's just a idea of everybody walking around with rings on the finger and it looks good, but they do not understand what happens behind it. And we're not perfect. I would not lie to you. I would attest to this. We're not perfect. I personally, based on my situation, I've been engaged, and I would not lie to you, but for 4 years. I will not lie to you. I've used the word engagement for 4 years. But I'll tell you, I will marry my partner tomorrow in a heartbeat. You know why? When I first met him, I was employed. He was employed. While we were together, I left my job. So he has seen me in my worst state, being unemployed. He then turned around and left his job. I saw him in his worst state. He got into an accident. He was in the hospital. Had to get steel put in his leg. And I saw him in his worst state. I collapsed one day, had a seizure. He saw me in my worst state. Nursed me back to health. I nursed him back to health. It's a serious thing when you're talking about relationships. We've been through our worst. We've been to the bottom and go to the top together. It's still not married.
You see, Nisa, I find that I think it's the women more than the men. Women got this thing about being married. And I remember working with a woman who used to always get upset when people call her by her first name. She would always say, put a hand up to my name. So one day I asked her, what's her hand up? She said, give me my title. I said, what's your title? She said, Mrs. And guess what? She was the last person to know that she was getting horn at the Belgian say. She was the last person to know that all the handles she was asking for and all the titles she was asking for, somebody else was sleeping with her husband. You understand what I mean?
But she was Mrs.
But she was Mrs.
She would miss it.
And you said that a message from someone who did someone type in a message?
Yeah. One of the listeners was saying that the man would ask for a virtuous woman, and then they look for a tramp in the street that would do anything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they would do anything, and they can't see the perfect wife because they have now become so insecure that someone else may get the experience that they are who they are, that they get creative with the tramp. No, I heard somebody say once that there are women who will do anything that a man wants them to do to stay with them.
Wow.
No, this anything is a big word where this is concerned. If you are going to go to any length to do things that you probably might not want to do, to say that you want to keep this man, what is that saying about you?
It's saying that you don't have any value about yourself. You don't like yourself. You don't like spending time with yourself. You don't know who you are. So you need somebody else to come and fill in that lonely spot that you have because you don't know what to do with yourself.
But you know, Yvonne, I am glad that you mentioned that word lonely. I hear people talk about being lonely. I wonder what being lonely is. You know what? Only yesterday I was saying to myself, I wish I had at least 2 more hours, just 2 more hours in the day that I could get through all of the things I have to do. I don't even have, sometimes I can't even answer my phone when it's ringing because I'm so busy doing 3 and 4 things at a time. Where do you find the time to be lonely that you have to feel such pity for yourself and you feel so low that you desperate now for somebody, and it gotta be now that you find this person and you can't let man, what are you doing to me?
But
you know,
how do you get to a stage where you get lonely? I tell people, I don't know, it depends too on how you structure your life. If you are a person with so much time on your hands, or you don't enjoy what you do, that you're so engrossed in it, maybe you get lonely. Where do you find that time?
And those are people who don't have any direction or purpose for their lives. So let me make a suggestion. How can we help rectify this problem? You know, if we reach one person, maybe it'll just take off. So what are some suggestions to help rectify a woman who wants another woman's husband, or a woman who doesn't have anything about herself, that she's very low down to the ground where she has to go do this? What can we do, advice we can give to maybe help some of these women?
I don't really give advice. I speak my mind. I am very, very, very vocal. I don't give advice because I find people are very leery of advice and stuff. I wouldn't tell anybody. I don't care who it is. Not even my best friend. I wouldn't say, hey, don't have a married man. You're old enough, man. I don't deal with kids as friends. I deal with adults. I deal with grown folks who know right and wrong, who know better. I would never say don't have a married man. I would say I would ask. If you feel that's the right thing you're doing, and I don't condemn either, because guess what? At the end of the day, it's you gonna feel the burning, not me. But I will say, if you want to be really happy, don't make anybody miserable in the interim, because it will come right back at you.
Yes, it's going to come back. And when it comes back,
it might take longer than you anticipate. It might come back a lot faster than you expect it to, but it will come back.
And guess what? What it could end up as, and this is a joke, the Lifetime movies. You know how those end up, right?
That's right.
You took my husband, I'm coming to kill you now. And I believe that happens more so than we know.
I know that you said that, Yvonne. Is it really worth it?
No. Absolutely not.
You're going to prison now because of a man, and you're not going to see your children anymore. Think of incarceration. Think that you people will tell you when to get up, when to go to bed, when
Right.
to use that basin in the corner to do your stuff and when to exercise, when to come back and think about it. Is it really worth it?
And it's not.
No.
It's true.
So the women who are currently out there doing it, we hope you're listening to the show, and we hope that you think twice about what you're doing and stop what you're doing. Think about yourself in that you are valuable. You were created for a purpose. Maybe you should try to look after your purpose so that your life can change for the better. And then maybe you can impact somebody that you know who is doing the same thing that you were doing, because now you see the light.
Nisa.
Enough is usually people say enough is enough. Enough is enough. And I think if they look at it from that perspective, enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
The things differently. But I believe the reason why things normally stay as an ongoing process with people and relationships are still rekindled and they're still carrying on with it is because I guess it's not just having a married man. It's a case of you probably being told things to keep you there.
Mm-hmm.
The husband
What sort of things would keep you there, Nisa?
There are women that I guess they will have men that will play after they've caught you in their web, because I don't assume they should start with a lie first. They have to start with a lie that really and truly should not still be, period. It shouldn't be nothing entertained after that. But if they start on the right foot, most men that are into this, they will come with stories. And once women are gullible, they will fall into that trap.
That's true.
They will come and tell you stories, and they are so truthful about it that you feel pain for them. You believe that the woman is a wretch. She's a witch.
Yes,
she's
right.
just really one of the most horrid women ever around. Because if you were supposed to get in a one-on-one with this woman that is pretty much having an affair or relations with your husband, you'd be surprised at the hurtful things she tells you. You might even wonder who she's talking about.
That's
You don't
right.
treat the man good, you need to cook for the man and wash the man's clothes properly and, tell you some hurtful things that you would wonder how these things came out of the home if they really were happening, or and half the time their lives. So when the woman sees you, or even if you hear talk and it gets back to you, it's some of the most horrendous things ever that he would have been telling her to keep her there, or to keep her in a frame of mind to start to feel vulnerable to him and to feel for him and express compassion to him. Because at the initial stage, it always begins because the man comes to you with a story. He comes to you and prays or your sensitive side or your compassionate side. And he taps into that. And when he taps into that, he then has you then where he needs to hold you. It's a case where he just feeds on it. So if you are never exposed to the family, if you are never at a stage where you can probably find out on your own what's happening, or probably not connect with people that can tell you otherwise, you will continue to stay in that frame of mind because some women are just gullible. This is not the average woman I'm talking about. Most women that end up with married men are at that stage. They're either gullible or they're in it for themselves. And when I say they're in it for them, there are two kinds of women that married men get involved with. The ones, as I told you, are gullible. They listen to his stories, they believe his stories, and then they want to become his knight in shining armor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's so convincing and so deceiving, like you said, that this whole it's like right. And I'm like, really? So there's men out there who actually prey on these women because they can offer them money, they can offer them things, but then exactly just the things. And so what happens after that?
And that would tell women that. But what happens then, where the breakdown comes, is when she falls for him now, and she's deep in love, and the question comes that he never thought, probably he didn't think of the long haul. He's thinking the short haul. Mm-hmm. The long haul question now is, so why are you still with her? When are you leaving her? Mm-hmm. He wasn't thinking long haul. So when those questions start to bombard him now, it upsets the apple cart. That is where the children come into play.
It's true.
He would He would tell her that. He would tell her,
said that,
my daughter, Christian.
A listener said that. a listener said that sometimes the men promise marriage, and it goes back down to that story that I started that scenario that I started the show with tonight. This man that is married, he even asked this woman to marry him. He knows he's married.
And she thought he would date her.
She thought, of course, because don't forget, in her mind, he's single.
He buys her time.
Okay.
He buys
That's right.
time.
Because he told her he was married, right?
But there are married men that do that. I am familiar with a case with a married man who proposed to another woman, and he's married. He proposed to her. He told her, you know what? Let me get out the way now, because as soon as he divorces for their lives, you're mine. And she got excited. She said yes. Wow. He's still going through the divorce 10 years later.
So are you going to live on a life for an indefinite period of your life just to say, come on, man.
So this is where we go back now to gullible, and then in the other breath, this is where we go back to feelings. Feelings are serious. Feelings.
You know where the feelings come from, right?
The feelings are to the point now where she is so head over heels that she has now put herself in a position of thinking. And as a human being, you
what
have
happens? What does she do? She's been intimate with him. So when she's been intimate with him, she's putting her whole heart out there.
Right. So she's now in a frame of mind where she now has to go back to herself and say to herself, he wouldn't do this to me.
So she's to herself.
So she's in denial to herself because obviously accepting the truth is too painful for her to do. So she has to go back to herself and convince herself that it's going to happen just a little longer. 10 years have passed and you're still telling yourself just a little longer. Mind you, you've had arguments along the way. You've had, she would have put up tantrums. She would have told him, don't come back. She would have, don't ever come to my place again. I don't want to see you again. She would have had those. But then the words come. Then the tears come.
Oh, baby, honey, I love you. I love you. You just give me just give me
all right, hands. Don't worry, you're the one I'm going to marry.
Then she take it right, and she's going to take him back. But you have to understand, a married man has 20 or 40 trump cards, and they call them trump cards. And in essence, what a trump card is where you go into the bag, you shake it up, or you pull out one, whichever one you pull is the one the card you will play it. So you have the children. You have financial problems. You have sickness. You understand? Cards. Because what happens now, he's playing those cards at different points in different years. Because the first year, first card he's going to play after the first year is that, he's just trying to deal with how his wife has changed. She's just become somebody different. And this is when the woman they married, so he's going to play the sympathetic card.
So she used to be.
And exactly. So that's a sympathetic card. And when you get tired of hearing that story and you start to act out, he will quiet you down again. You know what? She's looking to take me for all I have. So if I look to push for divorce now, she's threatening to take the house and the car and the land and take the children away. You play then that card for a few more years. And when that dries up, at the end of the day now, the child is at school and they're doing so well, but the grades have fallen because you're quarreling every night. The children are hearing it. It is not good for them. I'm trying to work through it. You play that for another few years. After that now, the wife is sick. She has cancer. You can't leave her like that. You have to be there for her. That time the wife vibrant and walking about. Nothing wrong with the wife.
But Nisa, you're right. This is how it happens.
I tell people, I am an old man living in a young person body because I have had.
I promise you, I'm going to edit the book. Just start writing. I'm going to edit it for you, Nisa. Just start writing.
I give you stories that will freak you out. So when I actually tell you I like an open conversation, it is because I like dialogue that really tears to life. There are things that happen in life that you will be amazed at some of the things you hear. There are even married men that sleep at these women. There are married men that will get to the point where they have you so convinced. They sleep at night. You know what has happened that night? He then have a friend make a phone call and say, boy, Charlie here out cool up on the couch, man. We count Charlie and Charlie. I can bring home Charlie in the morning and Charlie work on the couch, man. And the wife believes that. But Charlie by the outside woman having a sleep to convince her further that this is what he wants, and you know, she just can't deal with it. It's a serious, serious thing. They're trump cards. And he has trump cards, especially the actual husbands out there that prey on people. But then we can have another conversation some of the time about husbands that are really true to their wives, but they make some serious life. They make errors, and once forgiven, they never do it again. There are people like that. They can change. They learn from their mistakes. But it's because you won't at some point, sometimes as wives, you lose your way. There are times when wives lose their way. We get caught up in this life. We get caught up in the comfortable life. You get up, you give him a kiss on the cheek, you make breakfast, you go down to work. He goes down to work, you call during the day if you have to. You come home, he goes off to the gym, you go and find something to do. He comes and you're in the bed sleeping, he goes down and watch on TV or whatever. He got to finish up some work before the next day. Sleep, get up, routine. It becomes a routine. And you have to break that routine. You have to break the monotony. You have to remember it is you and him in it together. It's a long-term decision you guys made. It was a commitment, and you need to look at it. It is a job. A relationship and a marriage is a job. You have 3 or 4 jobs in your life, and that is a long-term job. Unless you get fired from it, you can't retire from a marriage. It is a job.
But you see, Nisa, that's what I was trying to say. If you really think about it, and you are getting married, man or woman, you have to understand, especially if you plan for the long haul, you're gonna understand that that pretty face that you marry is gonna get wrinkled someday. Her fingers gonna get bent. All sorts of things will change. You expect a woman at 60 to have breasts of a 20-year-old that plays some first. You're going to expect these things, and you have to be able to live with these things after. What's up with that, with wanting a 20-year-old at 65? I mean,
ladies, is this going to be another show that we'll talk about the next time?
By the way, we have a caller, and we need to let that caller in because we need to have another opinion. Caller, you're on the line. Welcome to Voice Your Opinion. It's Friday night. Take it away. I'm not hearing anybody.
This is my comment. You know, you could be the perfect wife, and the husband could act as the perfect husband. But the thing is, if you're not looking for something, you talk about the virtuous woman before. If you're not looking for trouble, so to speak, and the person is coming home and doing everything that they're supposed to do, you know, being the father to the children and doing everything, then you're not suspicious. But what about those who leave like they're going to work? They give the wife the hug, the kiss, like they're going to the job, but you come to find out that the person perhaps is taking a few days off here and there to spend the day with the mistress. They take the mistress on the business trip. You know, instead of taking the wife, they take the mistress on the business trip. They tell the wife that, oh, I'm almost divorced, and you start to read little emails as you do your own little investigation later on, you know, when you have your suspicions. You do your research, and you're reading these things, and you're like, is this person talking about me? They couldn't be talking about me because I'm the wife that's cooking, cleaning, doing everything else for this person, but yet they're talking to this person as if the wife has done nothing for them. When the wife does everything but clean their butt when they go to the bathroom.
Sometimes the wives have to clean their butts, literally.
That too. But it's a situation where when you marry someone, the whole premise of marriage is that it's supposed to be trust. So you're really not supposed to be suspicious. You're supposed to be thinking that everything is honky-dory. But yeah, you might see a little something, and then when you start asking questions and they make you think like you're crazy because you're asking questions, oh no, suspicious minds, you think I'm going to throw away a marriage for what? Some tramp in the street. When all along, that's exactly what they're doing.
And you know what? You know, I don't mean to butt in here, but I really need to say this. You know what is amazing? When you look at the woman that this man picks up, and you don't even have to analyze her. When you look at her, you say, man, he really picked up that woman. And wait a minute, he really decided he can sleep with that woman, and he had me. And then you start wondering, you either start wondering, is something wrong with me? As if he's stupid, because nothing is wrong with me, trust me. But then you start wondering, what is she doing that I'm not doing? What is she giving him
from
that
the chandeliers? Swinging from the chandeliers.
What's that?
And as the other person said before, doing everything that's degrading, yes, the Bible says that the bedroom is not defiled, but you have to remember there are women out there that even though, yes, whatever happens between the husband and wife, between closed doors, between the two of them, there are other women that will do anything and everything that the husband may choose not to bring to the wife because, yes, they want that first woman, they want that person that's nice and perfect, so they don't want to even suggest certain things because they figure, oh, you know what, that's a little out of the norm, or perhaps if I open up the wife to certain things, then they may decide, well, let me get a little bit more adventurous, and then they become insecure. So, you know, for some men, it's a situation where they're insecure about who they are, so they have to feed their ego. They go out there and they go from pillar to post.
But you know, ego is a big thing. Ego is a big thing for man. Why is that? Why?
I can't answer that one since I'm not a man, but somebody can.
They're the kings of the jungle. They're the hunter. That's their instinct. Men are hunters. They prey on you.
There are some good men out there, ladies, right?
Of course, there must be, but I'm saying that why is it so important for you to feed your ego when you can just be you?
Because they're afraid of who
like I said earlier, 9 out of 10 times they don't last as long as a match that you liked.
3 seconds. 3 seconds, Yvette.
1, 2, 3, go on. And you know what's amazing? You know what really, I shouldn't say kills me. You know what really makes me laugh? When you see a man that's 75 and 80 and he wants 3 women on his arm, 9 out of 10 times that thing is saying 6:30 and can't move from there tall.
There. Oh wow, that's an awful hour. That's an awful hour on the clock for any man. That's awful. That's really, really not good.
So we're going to have to do another show and to celebrate the men who are faithful and who are taking care of business at home, raising their kids, and making productive citizens out of their families.
Well, we need a few men calling in. We need a few men to stand up and say, hey, yes, we are doing it all, and we're doing it all with good intentions.
That's right. So where are they? Come on, men, call in.
I don't think we're their fans at the moment, though. I don't think they're all best fans at the moment.
But this is voice your opinion.
That's right. Your opinion.
We do have good men. Aubrey, where are you? We have good men. We have good men, and I'm making sure I'm calling out the name of one. I have to.
Nisa, we need Michael on the show next Friday night.
I'm thinking deeply about it. I had that in my mind.
We need Michael on Friday night, Nisa.
I'm serious. I made one point, and this is a serious point. I don't know how it works, but I know this is different times, and I think we need to understand we have to move with times. They're looking to have same-sex marriages over the place. They're looking to the point where they're looking to get it legalized. We're at a different stage in our lives. That alone, I say that to make my...
Do we move so far away from what we consider to be the norm that we go to the extreme?
Right.
Yes. We have. We are to that point.
Because listen, you know what was real disturbing? And I shared this with Aubrey a few days ago. I read in one of those newspapers, there's a pastor in Atlanta. Sorry, he's a bishop. He's gay, he's married, he got married in Washington, and they have just adopted a 3-month-old baby girl. And guess what?
Goodness.
Guess what? They are calling, the newspaper is calling the pastor's husband the first husband. I said, get this shit out of here! How do you call somebody else?
Really?
Yes, the paper is first husband, so-and-so, I forgot his name. First husband, whoever he is. I was like, how can you call him first husband? For
Goodness. Now that's really sad.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, what do you tell that child when it grows up? What do you say? Darling, this is daddy and mommy, this is the norm?
First husband and first...
What do you tell that child that will make it understand that man, listen, man.
You know, you don't have to tell them. You're just living right. You're living that way in front of them, and so they're going to think that that's the way it should be.
But then you arguments start coming.
These same children have to go to school, and children talk. They will be interacting with children who have a completely different lifestyle from them. They will start asking questions. What do you tell them? Oh, we're gay and it's normal for us, or what do you tell them?
What? That's right. What can you tell them?
And that's the point. That's where the problems come. I don't think they understand the gravity of what is happening. I don't think they understand the trickle-down effect or the ripple effect that these things have. It's a ripple effect. Yes, he married a man. Yes, they adopted a child. However, the child has to grow up. What happens there? Then the child goes into adulthood. What happens there? Then they in turn too. You can't tell them don't be gay. They probably learn how to be gay. Obviously they don't born gay. I believe you learn is a learning something, or even if it's a chemical imbalance, because you know that there's all kind of arguments you have. You hear if you bring up this topic, you're gonna get 10,000 different arguments. Everybody now going into the science of it. There's a science on it now. You're born gay. So apparently
let's call it what it is.
Yeah,
it's a 3-letter word. Begins with S, ends with N, and the middle letter is I.
But then you get all kind of arguments, and this is a big topic now, and this is a topic you have to tread very lightly on, because this is a topic that can cause a lot of row. You know, it causes a lot of row, and it's getting a lot of airplay. So when you
give on our show, we don't have to tread lightly. This is voice your opinion.
That's right, but you see, this particular article was prominent. I read it. I saw the link on somebody had it on Facebook, and then it was in one of those fancy newspapers that everybody holds in high esteem. It must have been in somebody's mind that this is news, that they should publish it. I mean, photo and all, picture of the baby, and these two people, and they said that they have a following of 600 people in their church. I was like, hello, man.
So it's just like that's just like the sheep. They're headed towards the slaughter.
Yeah.
Following each other.
But the problem we're having is that everybody wants to belong to something. That is the problem.
But don't we choose what we want to belong to? Don't we choose?
No identity. People, no, at the end of the day, I always remember, when we were younger, not in my times, probably a few generations before me, you would have had a situation where you could not pass your mother's neighbor that, mind you, she cussed out the other day. So she and the neighbor don't speak.
Mm-hmm.
I'm missing Lisa's voice.
I think Nisa left the house. You listen to Carib Voice Radio. We had an emotional moment. We're going to take a quick break and come right back to you. And of course, you know what's happening right here on Carib Voice Radio. Ladies rule. People got a lot coming right back.
Hi, this is Charlene Bowden, president of CSB Management Group in Atlanta, Georgia, and I would like to introduce you to one of our top recording artists, award-winning singer-songwriter Karsten Duran.
Thank you, Charlene. I want to thank the listeners and supporters of Caribbean Voice Radio for sharing my music with the world and for providing edutainment every day of the week.
Caribbean Voice Radio, like CSB Management Group, is dedicated to educating, uplifting, and empowering its community.
Caribbean Voice Radio. Stay tuned, stay involved, stay informed.
It's the #1 cause of blindness in adults. Having it doubles your risk of heart attack and stroke. And every year, it kills more Americans than breast cancer and AIDS combined. With numbers like those, there's no ignoring it, no pretending it doesn't exist, and no sense treating it like a mere condition. It's diabetes, and it's about time we saw it for what it is, a deadly disease that's becoming an epidemic in this country. Join the movement to help the American Diabetes Association stop diabetes once and for all. Share your personal story as a way to inspire others. Act by volunteering your time to help in your community. Learn about diabetes. Get screened. If you have diabetes, find out the best ways to manage it. And give your time, your financial support, your hope for a cure. Find out more at stopdiabetes.com or call 1-800-DIABETES. A message from the American Diabetes Association.
Okay, we're back now. We found Lisa again. We're kind of convinced that somebody who disagreed with her, one of these opinions, just stepped in and crushed her, but she's back. She always bumps back. Lisa.
Hi. I'm definitely back. Definitely back. I take everything in straight. I take everything at me. I'll definitely bounce back. So I'm here.
Great. What, if anything, are you going to tell these women? What did Yvonne call them? The home wreckers. The home wreckers. Tell them.
The home wreckers. It's not my labeling, but I think that's the best way we can probably label it at this stage. I personally, I don't judge. I'll probably my comments in a few. I will speak to the ladies that are pretty much fall into the category of being vulnerable and gullible at age, and who have found themselves trapped in the and tangled in the web of lies that probably would come in their way. To pretty much stand up, get a backbone, rip yourself away from it. Don't take yourself away from it. Rip yourself away from it. Is it different?
Yeah.
That's more speedy, and that's more pretty much immediate. And realize that there's someone out there for you and for you alone. That much I will tell you. There is someone out there for you and for you alone. And I will just hope that if and when you do, probably just not take my advice. It's not really advice, but if you just obviously then commit it to memory, and you ponder upon it, and you reminisce, and you say, well, hey, that lady pretty much said something that made sense, and you do decide, and you venture off and you find someone. I just pretty much hope that karma doesn't come your way, because I believe personally you weren't fully at fault. I'll tell you that much. I don't believe you were fully at fault. But if for the ladies that set out to damage the home, to break the bond that is by God, what I will say to you is that your time is fast approaching. It is fast approaching. It might not seem that way, but there are things that happen and will happen in your life that might very well
not be able to explain.
You will not be able to explain, and you will pretty much tell yourself, you know what, I'm living above board, I'm doing everything I should. The only thing that I'm doing is pretty much sleeping with Harriet's husband. That's the only difference. So I believe you two, whatever your reason is for setting out to hurt someone, because you probably yourself would have been hurt, And I can comprehend that, and I can relate to that. So I'm not judging you. I don't agree with you, and I really don't condone what you're doing. But in some little way, I can identify with probably what you would have been through. You had to have been hurt at some point. You had to have been scarred. And scarred to the point where you figure you can't recover, and you need someone else to feel the pain that you would have felt once in your life. Excruciating pain. Pain that you cannot deal with, and pain that you pretty much figure yourself you can't understand. So instead of dealing with your pain at the time, you set out to hurt someone else. And I believe that was your motivation. You know what? You've done it. You've destroyed lives. It is time now to take yourself away from that living. It's time now to find yourself as a person and be the person you once was. I do not believe that women that wreck homes always was that kind of way or had that kind of thinking. Something happened down the line. Something went wrong. And I believe that what went wrong was that you got hurt. And we all deal with hurt in different ways. All of us don't have that mature level that we're at, that we can deal with hurt in a positive light and see it that, you know what, everything happens for a reason, and I now have to regroup. I go back to myself, I regroup, I take some time for myself, and I heal. So if you didn't heal, and you've caused pain, reflect. See the families, understand what you did, and let that be motivation for you to stop doing it any further. And that is what I have to tell them.
Excellent advice. Well, not advice, but I consider it advice because
silence.
I think that the women, as you said, Nisa, who are doing this, I think that they were at some point hurt, but that still does not give them the reason. It still doesn't. Right. It still doesn't give them the right to go out and intentionally do this. Yes, there are women who don't know that these men are married. Yes, we understand that. So once you find out, because you will, those red flags will show up. You just need to be open to see them and stop running and hiding from them. Then you need to step away from the situation. The next thing I would really let you know is that we're having this show not to bash you, but to point out some truths to you so that your life can turn around, as Nisa said, and you can make some positive changes. But the last thing I'd like to say is this. Now that you have listened to the show and you've heard different aspects and different views, think about what you're doing and realize that, okay, there is a consequence for what I have done. Stand up and be a woman, take that consequence, but now change and turn your life around. So that when you do fall in love with someone and you think he's the one, that this situation won't turn around and happen to you, like the boomerang.
And what I wonder a lot of the times, wouldn't it be nice if you could feel that you have somebody who is yours and you can proudly say, yes, he's mine, rather than having to shy away and be listening to other women talk when you know you cannot speak for him. I mean, technically you can't really speak for anybody, but how are you gonna say my man when you know he's married? What do you call it? My boo, so nobody knows? What do you call it?
My friend. Oh, that's my friend.
Before we go any further, I wanna say good night and welcome to Avril and Isandia from Barbados, Avril and Isandia Wiltshire. We want to say good night and welcome to Voice Your Opinion. We're happy to have you. We hope that you stay for the remainder of the show. We hope that, God willing, you're back next Friday. And that somewhere along the way, if it hasn't opened your thinking, it has opened somebody else's thinking, that maybe you can pass on some information that you heard here tonight. But we are really delighted to be able to voice our opinion and not be muzzled in any way. We don't plan to defame anybody's character. We don't plan to use cuss words. We just need to be on point and be real with it. The truth is, Nisa was talking about this 6:30 time. That's the truth. That's the truth. And you just gotta keep it real. We hide a lot from what is true because we can't face it. Sometimes we don't like the truth. Reality hits us in the face and we can't deal with it. I was really appalled the other day. I went to a funeral about 2 weeks ago This man looks like he could be about 80 years old. All the hair on his head was white, but you can see he's about 80. And he had a hoop earring in his ear. I was like, oh, who are you trying to be a pressure boy at 80 years old? Who are you trying to attract? Why at 80 years old would you be wearing a hoop earring in your ear? And you standing up pretending that you scorpion women, hey, nobody ain't looking at you?
He's an old playboy. He's an old playboy, Yvette.
If you were playboy in your head, then guess what? Put that up there, because it's still saying 6:30. What you don't know, man? You know what I'm saying? Take your place, man. Why at 80 years old you're going to walk around with an earring in your ear? You want to be a damn organ? You're telling me.
Did he have a ponytail too, Yvette?
What's that, pardon?
Did he have a ponytail too, along with that earring?
No, he didn't have a ponytail, but you could see that he thought he was real hot with himself, right?
At a hard motorcycle.
You can see that he thought he was.
Did he have a hard that? He probably has Harley.
You can see that he thought he was really hot. And if I think I'm a pretty good judge of character, he could have been about 80 years old. He's standing with his hoop in his ear. Was like, you get out of here, man.
If he didn't have that, he probably have a shag. Did he have a shag? And if you probably let those to the church, he might hardly park up front. The man is a biker, man. Bikers don't age.
Yeah, did you put some leather?
It doesn't matter how much they fool themselves that they don't age. The rest of their body will tell on them. Put 10 batteries in that clock and the time will be the same.
It's true.
So as we're closing out our show, we're going to ask the male that we asked to give us his feedback to come on and give us his feedback about our show today and tell us truthfully how you really feel. Voice your opinion.
These comments do not reflect the vision of Caribbean.
And I'm listening.
Man, it was a great show. Let me tell you something. It's complicated in so many ways, but I'm glad to hear you guys talking and really pushing the information out. I'm glad that Steel Pulse came by.
Before you go any further, before you go any further, I have always wanted to. I'm not going to keep you very much longer, but I have always wanted to address this that phrase. It's complicated. Sometimes you go on somebody's status and you see it's complicated. When you say it's complicated, first thing I said to myself, "Start your shit up, man. What's this? It's complicated thing."
I'm not talking about the Facebook complicated.
No. I'm saying that you would go. I find you see it with men a lot. I don't know if you've ever been on Tide.
Yes.
I get a lot of requests on Tide, and when you go read the person's profile, it says relationship status is complicated. If your status is complicated, clean it up, man. Don't come around me. You understand?
Yeah, I mean,
you tend to complicate, man. Get out.
There are a lot of things that are going on in society, and the first thing that we all have to think about is that essentially, whether you believe it or not, the only claim to fame that we have as individuals, as a part of creation, is the fact that we subscribe to 5 senses. And,
exactly.
and the 6th one is the spirituality within, the thought process that has a give and take conversation. It's invisible, but it's substantial. And it is something that needs to be investigated on a whole and total context and so on. For the person, for example, when I was mute and I couldn't speak, I lacked a sense, so I didn't have a relationship with that sense. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of ways, the things that we feel and think and see, all of these are values that attribute to us to what we mean in society as a part of society in general. One of the questions that should be asked are to the people that don't have all of their senses. How do they perceive creation? Because for some people walking around, this is a figment of our imagination. So let's do whatever. The acts of cognitions and consciousness are at a whole different level. And that's why I love what I'm hearing from so many different directions. In order for you to determine who you are, we have feelings, And it doesn't matter if you're male on male, female on female, or male to female.
It matters.
Let me finish. You see, there's so many things going on that really have to be addressed in terms of knowledge and information, and in real time, as far as what can be measured as sustainable community lifestyle. If you can have an act of indifference that lasts for a second, and you break a law, and you can become incarcerated, and you're told that, well, this is an act of reform for you unless you're a triple, quadruple murderer. And the belief system and the attitudes within the prison system are generated to cause you not to be gaining ground while you're in prison. And personally, that's one of the reasons I try to stay out of it. But we have to really look at ourselves, the value that we hold in terms of who we are individually, in terms of community, in terms of law, and in terms of our own belief system. And we have to measure our belief system. A lot of folks one of the best examples I use is the guy that's standing on the corner, two guys standing on the corner. One is called into church to be a preacher or teacher or whatever, and he reads in the Bible that you should come up from among them and be ye separate. Now the guy who's left on the corner was the guy that was helping you out, and then you treat him like dirt. And so in his mind, if you read on and you find that you should let your light shine and that your activity should be an example to those who you would want to follow you, he's not thinking of Christianity as a value. It's probably an enemy. Because in that moment, your behavior is not qualified because you are reading a tangible but a piecemeal tangibility piece that is not sustained by long-term understanding. And if you want to know what is absolute truth, you have to check the motive behind behavior. Now, sometimes this is why when you look at it biblically and you talk about it biblically, we have all fallen, but we are afraid to do the forgiveness thing in reality. So when you get into a situation and you don't understand what true love is, because true love means that you must be able to withstand the growth potential within a relationship. You meet someone and you are all excited, your hormones are raging. Perhaps that is the chemical moment and there's nothing more. But if you don't have the guiding light in terms of understanding absolute value, in terms of growth, development, sustainability, and what true love means, if you care about someone, the first thing you want to do in any relationship is be an absolute friend. And if you can't do the absolute friend thing, you have just gone ahead and begun the process of messing up. So when you are hit with a wife who gets up in the morning and sees you as a brother, and you're thinking as a man, I don't want to be your brother, I'm your husband. But you don't understand that that's part of the growth process, that sometimes your wife's going to feel that way about you. And there's going to become a time when she may not even want to have sexual relationships with you, and that's the time you should get really excited because you get to rest at 6:30.
Is it for 3 minutes or 3 seconds?
Well, 3 seconds. And the fun part of again, we can get. As a matter of fact, we take this conversation over into the men realm for next week. I'll get some guys to come on and really talk a little bit about it, because at the end of the day, we must learn how to actually take care of each other, and that is part of the process of love, giving and sharing and taking care. This is why this is the way you eliminate jealousy and ignorance, because if you know that you have, and you see it sometimes, and it's the pre-qualification for you to perpetuate that in society, but it doesn't happen. We don't have the right and the responsibility to beat down on any race, creed, color, nationality, sexual orientation until we learn who we truly are in the process of becoming. Because when we understand who we are, community will start to change, and maybe that behavior will begin a new quest for rediscovery and self-worth and value.
Amen.
Okay? Now that's my presidential speech. Please elect me. And
you are elected.
Is that a gentleman? That is the first gentleman.
Now, man who was just giving that wonderful speech.
That's because of my experiences. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have not and had not fallen down. It was an exciting journey to fall down, but I got up. And in getting up, you realize that the road that was behind you is no longer sustainable for you because you're going in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
And as you build momentum, now you look to find other people who are like-minded who can help you get to where you want to go. I'll tell you personally, we talk about people being Christians, right?
Right.
I'm going to level with you right here now live and tell you that 90% of the people that I've come across, 99% almost, of people who have come across in 30 years in these here United States, including going back from Barbados back and forth and so on, who have said to me, I'm a Christian, are the ones that turned around and screwed me. So I love hanging.
You got a lot of screwing there.
Yes. And I'm using basic language for people to understand. Now, the other portion of those people who thought that I had a self-worth problem because I was given unconditionally didn't understand that I understood and still understand my self-worth enough to learn how to let ignorance and stupidity mentally go so that I can live the kind of life I want to live. Because we talk about ownership, but what is true ownership when you're thinking in terms of reality? You control your environment, because when you're out in the street and you meet the person, you are actually conducting a marketing campaign.
True.
And you're telling the individual to meet my representative.
That's right.
And who's the representative?
The person that you perpetuate to be, or you
perpetuate to be, right?
Or purport to be, or report to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
During that first meeting.
That's right.
Now you may go back and you may say, man, I met this girl and I want to hit that. But you just left from point A and gone to point Z, not knowing what it is you're talking about, because maybe one of your five senses taught you that historically, so now you went from maybe 15 to 30 and think that that's the way to behave. Because you're subscribing to your five instructors, which are the pieces that you feel that allow you to even understand that you are part of society. We can look at this from a very simple term in terms of language in itself. For example, one of the things I've noticed 30 years in this country is when people couldn't understand the Hispanics because they didn't speak English, they said they were stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But they never realized that these are the people that built monuments years and decades ago and centuries ago before you even knew what America was about. And a whole bunch of other things that are related to their history and culture. But because we lack that communication piece, I don't know what they're talking about. And the person that's walking around talking about example of being a nigger, that's a pigmental moment. If you cut me, I bleed. If you kick me and you stab me, we have all the same organs. We die alike. And it's proven when we come together to sustain this thing we call freedom. We go to war and all our soldiers die. It don't matter what color they are. They all bleed red because that's what it is. So when we're looking at society and we're looking at building momentum and we're talking about men and we're talking about women and relationships, we've got to look at what are you really looking for? What have you really been taught in terms of longevity and sustained equity as an individual in creation?
And that's where experience comes into play. Your experience as well.
And yes. And you need to take the time and measure your experience. And some folks don't want to do that because we live in a society where things want to be so quick that we are poisoning ourselves with food. Let me tell you something. I took an onion out and it's been out for a month and the thing hasn't gone bad yet.
Aubrey, that's an onion that probably got 10 years of spray in it. You better throw it there.
Listen, I'm treating that the same way I treat McDonald's. No disrespect to McDonald's, and you're doing your thing. You gotta make your money. But the most precious understanding that I've developed over the years is that even people who are seeking money and using different systems of misbehavior to earn money don't even understand the value of money and how it even got started. So we're all seeking to figure out who we are in this whole process, and there's so much to learn, so much to go back and double check and recheck the history and the value and really look at our original way of thinking. There is something inside of every person that will say at some point, I've had enough, and that is your controller. Because your five senses got sick and tired of being sick and tired.
So it sounds to me like you're asking us to do a lot of deep soul searching, and that's too much work, right?
But what I'm saying, right? What I'm saying is this is like a prequel. It's a prequel. You don't have to do it. If you want to pre-qualify to do discovery, self-discovery, and really work on the product that is now the most tangible benefit to the community at large. I don't care if you're in Barbados, America, China, you are the commodity, because I think a lot of people got caught up on understanding that they were living a life based on someone else's dream. Because you ask a guy, well, who are you? I'm a doctor. No, I'm saying, who are you? Well, my name is David. You forgot who you were, just like sometimes you become a parent and forgot that your name is Yvette or your name is Aubrey or whatever. But there's so
when you're mistress, especially the handle is that. Remember the handle?
And your mission,
put a handle to my name.
Put a handle to it. Your mistress, sometimes your concierge. So you get started, you don't even intend to continue, and like you're saying, it's a pre-qualification. You have this property over here called wife, and you're trying to pay the mortgage on the second one, but the first one is saying, if you don't satisfy the needs over here, I'm going to take you because you are a commodity, and I'm going to take everything you own. You won't be able to give that other one anything.
All right.
So there's so much going on and so much to really talk about that's tangible and real, but we got to become educated about it. And let me say this. Right or wrong is not determined by what's going on. It's determined by the motive. And if you have a group of people who are working as a harmonious body, whether they're doing something right or something wrong, they're going to win in many cases because they are applying the team effort. Let us not forget one fundamental understanding, biblically speaking, because I go back to that because that seems to be one of the controllers in society, whether it's Quran or whatever else. We have some similar things. Now, the question that Christians need to ask, and in general, and people in general need to ask, and I need to ask myself, because I'm the worst critic of myself. That's the only way I get to grow. I get to tell myself the truth, and whether I believe it or not, I need to work on it. If you understand that your value is the sum total of your experiences, and you need to work through those experiences, remember one thing. At the end of the day, the same God that we talk about and trust caused the sun, the moon, and the stars to be risen up on the godly and the ungodly. So the question becomes, what is your variable difference to supersede that one rule of natural existence on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis to 65 years and beyond? What is your variable difference? So, if you are living and saying, well, you're a Christian, what the heck was that? That was the determination made when Jesus died. When Jesus died and rose again, as far as what we understand biblically. And the guy said, well, how do we discern who we are among the other folks? And we said, well, let's call ourselves Christian. So, someone is telling me I've gone off topic, but that is not off topic. That is the core that you want to do reality check on this conversation. Test what I'm saying. Don't say I've gone off course. Sit down and look at it. Examine that. It's a nice emotional thing. It's a very powerful thing. It causes trouble every single day. A lot of people die because of these relationships. Physically die. Children are destroyed, and we are all guilty at some level, in some way, shape, or form. But to stand and deliver after you realize what is problematic and work forward is the beautiful part. Yes?
Wow.
And that is my summary.
Thank you for your summary, Mr. Anonymous.
Yes. My name is Kelvin Brown of the Brown and Sons.
You better get out of here.
But I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Yvette, you're going to close out the show. If you don't forget, tomorrow is Barbados in Focus.
Oh yes, tomorrow's Barbados in Focus. We start at 10 a.m. We know we will go into overtime, so we can't say 10 a.m. until midday. But we start promptly at 10 a.m. We go in and around Barbados. We have lots of interesting things. We are interviewing George Jones, who used to be very popular in the Square One band. He's going to be having benefit show for kidney transplant that he is expecting to have.
Yeah.
We're going to speak with Ebony Rowe from Honey Jam Barbados. We have quite a few other interviews coming up. So like I said, we know we will go into overtime, but we want you to go sleep and get up fresh back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. for Barbados in Focus. I'd like to thank Yvonne Randall and Nisa Williams. Ladies, I thoroughly enjoyed our dialogue. I thoroughly enjoyed the views of everybody. Everybody would have a different view, but at the end of the day, we can respect each other's opinions and come back next Friday night to voice our opinion all over again. Yvonne, yes. I'd like to thank you both so much. It was my pleasure to have you here. I wouldn't have it any other way. I expect you both next Friday night, God willing, at 8 p.m. so we can voice our opinion.
All right.
All right, that's the point.
Yeah. All right. We're going home again with Edwin Yearwood. I really support that event in Brooklyn, and we're going to talk more about it tomorrow. I'm very passionate about everything that I do, and I'm really thankful that I have you ladies as a part of Carib Voice Radio. I really enjoyed this show and the dialogue that came out of it. We need to have conversations because we can't just float in life and just be, as Nisa was saying, we've gone silent. And it's and that's where my mother. I love my mother for among everything else. One main thing that she taught me: never ever let confusion steal your knowledge. Never.
That's good.
Ever let confusion steal your knowledge.
Wow.
If it can pass the test of time, you become involved in it. No, everyone has personal responsibility. So when we have relationships, people are going to change without notice. It's kind of like the gas prices.
That's right.
Okay.
Go far, come down.
Yeah. And one thing I'll say to men, when a woman tells you she's finished, believe her.
That's right.
I'm going to tell you.
Because it would not have been an overnight decision.
No, I'm going to even if you don't agree, walk away.
That's right.
I would have fast too.
And I did it, and I got excited about it. I'm telling you, I'm not kidding. You
know what they always say? A man will cheat, and women normally forgive him because they know full well he probably just went astray. Ego took the best of him. But when a woman steps out, you can guarantee that's why men kill women. You know, that's worse.
Yes.
How a woman gives her body
to their property.
Yes.
When a woman gives her body to someone else, a man understands that she didn't just give away her body, or she didn't just decide that she's going to live with someone else. Feelings have to be involved because I know this woman.
That's right.
So
That's right.
That is what eats at the core of their existence. That is what eats at them like a cancer. When that happens, it eats at them like a cancer. And that is what happens as domestic violence come into play, where a lot of women are winding up dead. Men are killing them because A man always says, I'm a man. That's what men do. But a man might step out, and he really doesn't give his heart. He will step out and give you some of the part, but not his heart. But when a woman steps out,
we will have to talk about domestic violence on one of these shows.
We have to. That is a topic that is running rampant globally. If you really check the track records, almost every day you're hearing a report of a woman being killed, husband killed a wife, partner killed a spouse.
Every 9 seconds, a woman is battered. Every 9 seconds.
That's the combination of something that I just said. You see, a man will not talk about what he's going to do. He's thinking it and he's having dialogue inside his head.
Correct.
It doesn't happen before dialogue starts. It's a matter of you understanding your value in relationship to what you're about to do. People have told me you're stupid, and you walk away because you understand that you are going to preserve yourself for another day.
That's right.
Another lifetime, another legacy, and you may even build another lineage. But
that's right.
The idea of people sharing their knowledge base that is not qualified with you, they don't have sufficient information to tell you, man, go ahead and do that. You're just spurning the moment, and then what happens to that individual when they are destroyed? You cannot help them. And then the same person that tell you go and do it will turn around and say, man, why you listen to me? Why I know nothing? So you have to be very careful, and again, you need to know how to deal with the invisible, substantial mindset. And you need to learn your body.
That's the point.
Okay? You need to learn what chemicals are reacting with. You need to understand how your body functions in relationship to circumstance.
So that's another show. So we've done like 6 shows that are coming up.
We just
One night we're going to talk about food and
yes.
Oh, yeah, we're going to do it, Sam.
And we're not only doing that because Yvette's coming up with a new book, but okay, let's get going. All right, we're gonna close out because otherwise we'll end up here till midnight.
That's right.
So we're going home with Edwin Yearwood.
Thank you, ladies.
All right.
You're welcome.
Good night, folks. You may want to stay tuned for the instant replay coming up right after this. Carrot Voice Radio, the edutainment station.
Carrot Voice Radio.
Believe it.